Guys, we are live right now with Rob Wiethoff, the voice and body acting of John Marston in Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. I am so excited to have you, Rob. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having interest in having me. I love it. I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
One of the really beautiful things was the week I had Roger on and Ben. I was trying to do a Red Dead week, but you freaking work in construction,
Yes.
which is awesome. So that's why we're doing it the week between Christmas and New Year's, because it's your time off. But I wanted, before we get into Red Dead stuff, like it has to do with Red Dead, your journey as an actor, because I remember you, correct me if I'm wrong, you were in LA, because we worked on Red Dead together. That's where we met. But you were being flown from Indiana to New York to work. But the original, you lived in LA years and years ago, and that's how you booked Red Dead 1? Not to call it that, but to differentiate.
Yeah. So I was there and lived there.
Were you bartending?
Yes.
Yeah.
For so long, and I loved it. But my goodness, it's rough. It's hard to keep that up. So all the bartenders out there, do your thing. Try not to overdo it all the time, like I did.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But enjoy yourself.
I loved working as a waitress. I worked for 6 years. I hated it sometimes, but you got to learn to love it in order to survive, right? So it's that balance. Yeah.
And then, yes, I booked Red Dead Redemption, and that shot in Santa Monica, and was really a cool experience. And then shortly after,
how long did you work on Red Dead for? The first one.
It was spread out over almost 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
But the days that I actually worked were far less than I worked on Red Dead Redemption 2. And it was different technology, and it was different. Everything was a little bit different. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can kind of move in and out of cutscenes in a different way than you could in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption, there was like a glowing X on the screen, and if you walk into that X, then a scene would start, and you could either skip it if you've seen it before and just miss the entire thing, or you were in it and you experienced it for 30 seconds or a minute and a half or however long it was. So I worked probably spread out over 2 years, but I worked far less days, and then moved back to Indiana, basically right after that wrapped. And wasn't long after
to give up acting, or to leave the business.
Yeah, my wife and I were not married yet, but we wanted to get married, and we wanted to have kids, and we didn't want to do it in LA. And I think, she grew up in LA and always lived in LA. And I had a lot of fun and experienced a lot of really cool things in LA. Learned a lot about myself. Love it. So happy that I did it. But at that time I thought, okay, I've done a lot of really cool, fun stuff, but I don't want to be married and trying to start a family and be a bartender. Because as an actor,
it's tough.
There's no guarantee you're ever going to work again. And so I thought, I'm going to go back to what I know and understand and get a job and start a family. And so that's what we did. And Undead Nightmare, which was a DLC for Red Dead Redemption, zombie, awesome, fun, crazy stuff, But that shot in New York shortly after I moved back to Indiana. And then a few years went by, but then I got a call from Rockstar asking me to work again.
Was that the craziest thing where you're like, nah, I'm going to pass?
Oh my goodness. Well, so first of all, I thought, because the director is the one who got in touch with me, and he said, we've got some work and we want to know if you're interested in doing it. And I originally thought, when he called me, I thought, oh, you've got some other game that you're working on and you want me to come in and play a character that's not John, but just to hang out and do just a few more days. They did that with a guy from one of the previous Grand Theft Autos.
Yeah.
Came in and worked on Undead Nightmare as just some random character. And I thought that's what they were asking me if I was interested in doing. And I said, yeah, of course, I would love to. And it turned out it was definitely not that. It was a whole huge game, and I'm so happy that they called me.
Also, wait, but Arthur Morgan worked for 5 years. So did they bring you on a little bit later?
They did bring me on a little bit later, but the 2 years that I worked was Red Dead Redemption. On Red Dead Redemption 2, I think I probably worked for a lot of people did work for 5 years. I worked maybe 4.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is still a really long time. I wasn't there as long as a lot of the other people were, though. So I can't say that I worked for 5 years, but I worked for a long time, and I truly enjoyed every second of it, and I would do it again.
And nobody knew that you were coming back to Red Dead 2.
No.
I remember when we met on set and we were working, and we obviously, when we're working with Rockstar, we can't say a peep to anybody about anything, but they said that if I even just followed you on Twitter, or you closed Twitter because people were being so like careful watching you and who you followed and who followed you, that they would put stuff together. So you're like, I don't even mess with that because I'll get in trouble. And I remember thinking, oh, I wanted to follow Ben Davis and Roger because we just met and they were so great. And I'm like, once the game comes out, I'll see them at cons. I knew that, you didn't. But then it was like, no, we can't do any of that because, you know, people who just follow the game so carefully are like putting pieces together of everything, you know. Tech Nova is asking, how often do you get recognized in public or your construction site?
Well, never that I'm aware of. I don't think so. You know, when you're around a bunch of construction guys, I don't know. And also I've worked in my hometown. So I grew up here, and I know a lot of people. It's a small town, and I know a lot of people just from living here. Now and then I'll get someone who'll say, didn't you do some video game or something? And I'll talk to them a little bit about it. But I don't think that people recognize. I don't look like John. I don't look John at all, and I sound like him. So if someone
you sound just like him. Have you played Red Dead?
I played a little bit, and so you got to remember, I got married and had twin boys, and I do have another job. So I don't have a whole lot of time to devote to sitting down and playing video games. And I hate that because I think a lot of people just assume that I do. Yeah. But I don't mean to disappoint anyone, but I just, especially being gone for as long as I was to make Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. Now it's really hard for me to say, hey, everybody, you hang out and do your thing. I'm going to isolate myself and play a video game for the rest of the night.
Right. So, Rob, can I tell you something? I did not get married, and I do not have twins, and I still don't play video games. Okay, so you do not have to ask for forgiveness because listen, I've tried. It's stressful, man. I know that Red Dead's different. It's a journey you go through, and there's like stuff to encounter and experience. But like, you're a family guy. You're doing your thing, man. It's okay. Are you gonna do Red Dead Redemption 3?
Of course. If they asked me, I would love to work with Rockstar again in any capacity, whether it's for another Red Dead game or any possible way for me to get back with those people. I would be delighted. And you know how this goes. You don't know anything more than anyone else. So I don't know. I want to.
Was your wife acting as well when you guys lived out here, or?
No. And she had the most perfect setup if she wanted to be. Her dad is he's a cameraman.
Oh,
and
wow.
Like Pirates of the Caribbean. He's the one that held the camera and shot that movie. And he's worked, his resume is so much better than mine would ever be. And of course he's got all these ins. And if she wanted to do it, then she just could say, I want to do it. And he'd say, all right, what do you want? Almost like, what do you want to work on? Well, but she did one day on, I think it was General Hospital. I think she was high school aged, and she was really excited about it and couldn't wait to get there. And you know, got her sides, her script, had her lines memorized, and there were like 4 or 5 lines. Just a one day deal. And she got there, and realize that it's not just you and the other person in the scene. There are people running around with lights, and there are 20 people in a room where you think there might be just 4 or 3, whatever. And she was overwhelmed by everyone's looking at me. There are lights shining on me, and I'm not comfortable with this at all. So she luckily got to experience what it was like firsthand to be in that position, and it was not for her.
Oh, wow. But that's good to know,
So yeah, anybody else who wants to be an actor, don't be overwhelmed by me saying this. Do it. That's what you want to do. But there are going to be more people in the room than just you and your scene partner.
Absolutely. That's the thing, even when you're having the most intimate scene and you think, even as a viewer, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that moment is so perfect. And then I'm like, oh wait, I know there are 20 people around them right now. Sound, lights, director, AD, camera operator, everything, what your favorite Marston lines are. And if you could give us a few, because they're fun.
Oh goodness. Yeah, there were so many fun ones. So many, if John's chasing somebody, or just a lot of random, really ridiculous lines. But my favorite line, I think, of all time is, people don't forget, nothing gets forgiven. That was in both games. If you played Red Dead Redemption, you hear it in that game, and then you also hear it. If you're in the right place, John has a conversation with Hosea, and he says the same line. It's a different delivery. Feel, but I really love that line. And then I think my second favorite line is, and I can't remember it now because now I feel like I'm going to say it wrong. Even if I say it right, I think I'm going to say it wrong. But when John brings back his art that he got from, it's a squirrel. He's got this squirrel that has been stuffed, and it's got a top hat, and it's art. Abigail, what do you mean you don't? It's art. Anyway, he's really proud of his squirrel, and Abigail's not really into it sitting on the mantle.
Wait, it's a live squirrel. It's like taxidermy.
It's a taxidermy squirrel. And it was really, really fun going through all that work. But, the people at Rockstar, of course, are hilarious. And
oh my God. Yeah, totally.
We had so much fun with all the squirrel lines.
But just how you just said it, it's art. Like, you're taking it so seriously. It's so great. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Not knowing that this is art. Back on. So frustrating. But that John yells a lot. Obviously, John yells a lot. He's a frustrated person. But you hear a lot of, out of the damn way. A lot of I don't know what else.
No, those are great, man. So we have, I'm sure you know that Overwatch has a character that's a cowboy.
Yes.
Yeah, his name is McCree, and the voice actor is just the best human being on earth. I can't wait for you to meet him. He's so lovely. But his famous voice line is, "It's high noon." And I know I saw in the comments when I announced you that they wanted you to say that. So if you could do your best high noon voice line from John.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think of, I guess don't tell me. I'm going to make up my own scene right here. Uncle, it's high noon. Get up.
All right, guys, there you go. You got it, man. But they did Break Every Mold mentions that he loves when you get attacked by a wild animal. And do I look like food to you? He says that's a really funny one.
Yes, I love it. There was a line, I can't remember if it was, what'd you eat? It was something where John kills an animal and then he's skinning it and he's, And one of the producers on Red Dead Redemption 2 had played Red Dead Redemption, and he came over to me and he said that line. He's British, and his accent, he was trying to sound like John. And when he said it, I laughed and he laughed, and then I said it back to him, but I kind of had a British accent. I just did. I just happened that way. And he goes, no, you don't. You said the line. You don't say it again. It was just a really funny, weird, like.
Oh my God, so good. Rob, this has been a really, really fun live stream. Thank you so much.
Well, Carolina, thank you. I honestly thank you. And I really appreciate you having interest in talking to me. And I've really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Follow his Insta. It's Rob_Wiethoff.
Yeah.
Give him a follow so you guys can know when he's going to be signing autographs and all that stuff if you're into Red Dead 2. And actually, we didn't talk about it that much, but in the last 2 times we had Red Dead guys on, everyone was commenting about how like they've played the game like twice or 3 times because it's just so beautiful, and that they always cry at these specific moments, and that there's just such awesome stuff. So
that's so nice to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
So guys, keep booming and booping. Boop.